Everybody. Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience, and I'm really appreciative of your understanding. So today we're going to go straight to our program, and sorry for the delay. So today we're going to be looking at naijR package. It's an R package that is created by one of our own, Victor Ordu. So I would go straight so that we don't take much of the time going to the agenda for today. So we'll welcome in all the participants. So I'm Bilikisu Olatunji. I'm one of the co-organizers of Abuja R user group and Our Ladies Abuja. So today I'm going to kind of go ahead to allow Victor Ordu to give an introduction of himself so that we don't take much of the time, and he goes straight into giving us something wonderful about the naijR package, how it came about it, what's the inspiration, everything. So he's been a wonderful supporter of our group, our Abuja, our user group, and we really appreciate his time, his mentorship, his support for the group. So thank you so much, Victor. So I'll stop sharing now, then you can take on the floor. Thank you. Hello, Victor, are you there?
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity to be with you today. Thank you, all the team.
So thank you so much. So we really appreciate your support, and we're looking for an inspiring time with you today. So thank you. So can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. As I've been introduced, my name is Victor. I'm a medical doctor by profession, public health practitioner, and currently my main focus has been in the field of data science. I want to just do a quick overview. Let me try and share my screen now. I want to do a quick overview of a package that was developed to ease working with data that has to do with Nigeria. So I don't know, is my screen visible now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. Thank you, sir.
All right. Sorry, I'll not be putting on my video for now, just for us to quickly proceed. I'm also having some technical issues here right now. But if you have any questions, please, you can feel free to share in the chat, and I will want to ask maybe because if we have you to just monitor the chat and throw the questions at me, feel free to interrupt at any time. And I want to make it as quick as possible. Maybe the next, should be done in the next maybe 20 45 minutes. So the naijR package was created, by me a few, like I think about a year ago, and with a view to, enhancing.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Yes.
There's kind of a background. Let me.
All right. So I'll just give a brief background on the package, and then talk about how it's used, and then we'll just go into some prospects for the future of the package. So what the package does generally, it has some functions with it that are targeted at data entry, data cleaning, and accurate naming, and as well as some visualization of data that has to do with Nigeria. And the design principles behind the package, the idea is for it to be an open source package that everyone can participate in. And at the end of this talk, I hope that I will be able to convince members of the community to feel free to join and join in working on this package. It's supposed to be locally relevant. So to those of us who are who are Nigerians or who are working in Nigeria. It should be relevant to what we are doing, and as well as those who are not Nigerians. I believe we have some members in this audience who are not in Nigeria today. They should be able to use this package to quickly work with the data if they're doing any research that has to do with Nigeria. It's supposed to meet the global standards, be fit for purpose, and to be extensible. You should be able to use it to work on other platforms, even outside of R. So that's what I had in mind in working with this package. And it should be simple to use, not just to use for the average R user, but also for those of us who want to contribute to the package. It should be easy for us to do so. So to install the package is on CRAN. So if you use install packages, you get the package, the binaries. If you're on Windows, if you're on Linux, you get the source and then you can install it. Then if you want to install the latest development version that is not stable, if you want to know what is new in the package, you can develop it with this line of code down here. You get it from the dev branch of the GitHub repository. Now, one of the things that was in mind when this package was developed, particularly was working with administrative regions. So for Nigeria, we're talking about states and local governments. If you have, let's say, a data frame that has data on states, this package will help you to handle those data, to manipulate them, to clean them up, and make sure that they are all accurate and correct. So you could just work on plain character vectors, for example. If you look at the line of code we have here, we have a vector that is created with some states in it, and when you print it out, it just gives you the regular character vector, the way it normally appears. Now we have a function in the package that is called states. Now these states will create a special object, an S3 class, which is also a vector, but it has it works differently. It has special behavior. So when we load the package with this code here, library naijR, this will load this will attach the package to the session. And when you run the function of states, it will just give you the states of the federation. So these are just the states that we have listed out here. Okay, and if we use that object that we used before, we just created an object called S in the previous two slides. So when we pass that character vector to this function called states, to give us a new object. And this object, you see that the printout is not different from the one we had earlier. So this is no longer just a vector, it is now a states object. And there's a reason why it was designed like that. I'll explain more as we proceed. Now the regions, which I said involve the states and the LGAs, that's local government areas. The objects, that are subnational divisions, they inherit from a class called regions. It's an abstract class. Now the reason why we say it's an abstract class is because we don't create any objects called regions. This class confers certain behavior to these classes like states and LGAs, and that's why you saw that the printout was different when we did it in the last slide. It's because of this particular class that is working behind the scenes. So when we check the class of the object, you see that it has three classes. We have states, regions, and characters. So these are the internals of this particular object. Now the states object, the states function has additional arguments. So we have an argument called GPZ. So you can actually create an object that is just for a given geological zone. Like we have northeast, northwest, north central, north, south, south, southeast, and then southwest. So when you pass that in here as an argument, it will give you just those states, which you can use, for different operations. And then this argument or will help you to decide, do you include the Federal Capital Territory as a state? Because we know that technically speaking, the FCT is not actually a state. But when we are doing analysis and in most of the data sets, FCT always appears as a state. So this is just for for the local detail and the information that we're actually doing the correct thing. Then this argument 1, it will notify you if any element in that vector is not actually a valid state. So even if it's a misspelled state, it will warn you that look, this thing is not actually valid. For the local government areas, as the LGAs for short, just as with states, we can use vectors to create, we can have a list of LGAs in a vector. And we can also create similarly an LGAs object. And this is safer than just using the vector because like you saw with the states function, this one has some controls to actually help you check and make sure that you're doing the right thing. Now, the LGAs present some additional challenges, in this regard, because we know we have 774 LGAs in the country. So that just the number alone gives us, additional work to do. And we have a situation where LGAs are duplicated. So some states have LGAs that have the same name. Like you will find OB in I think in Benue State, and I think also in Enugu State. We have 2 LGAs that have the same name in different states. So we have to provide for all these idiosyncrasies. And then we have ambiguity due to name sharing. So some states have the same name as an LGA in that same state. So how do you disambiguate? We'll see how that works, further down. Now, the function signature is also different from that of states because of what I just mentioned earlier. So this argument called region, it will give you, if you pass in, let's say, the name of a state, it will give you all the LGAs in that state. And if you pass in just the LGAs, it will now convert, let's say, a vector to an LGAs object. And this argument called strict is used for when there is name sharing, where you have an LGA that has the same name as a state. If you want to now state that this is just an LGA, this argument has to be set to true. Once you say it is true, it becomes an LGA. And then the same thing has happened with the other function. We have the warning. Now we have helper functions particularly for those of us who are not even Nigerians. You want to be sure that you're working with the right data. If you have, let's say, a column of, let's say, states, you can check, is every element in this column actually a state? Is it correctly spelled? So these functions will help you to check whether everything is okay. And then when there are problems, we have the fix functions that will not allow you to repair those issues. So in the example code we have here, we have Nasarawa, which is a state, or could be an LGA. In this case, let's just take it as a state. And we create an object called NAS. When we put it into this function, it tells us it is false. This is not a state. So what was wrong here is that this was misspelled. Nasarawa is not spelled with double S. It's spelled with a single S. So when you now put in this thing, it tells you it's false. And then when we now use the function fix region, it will repair this. But in this case, we have an error because we have just put in a string. This is a string, a character vector, and this function cannot tell Nasarawa is there a state or not, because Nasarawa also, we have some LGAs in the country that are called Nasarawa, and that's why we have this error here. So the error says incorrect region names. consider reconstructing X with states or LGS for a more reliable fix. So when we now use states, because we are actually dealing with a state here. When we now put this into a states function, it now fixes it, and it now tells us it's now a state. It's true. Is there any question before I proceed any further? Please, any question? That's why the state, yes, the state name and it's an LGS in terms of, yes, that's correct. So that is why we have this function to help us to show the differences. Now fixing LGA spellings. So now we have this vector here we're creating with 4 elements. Okay, this is supposed to be an LGA in Lagos State, and when we now test it with this function called is LGA, we have false, true, false because of some misspellings. Okay, now this looks very clear because we have just 4 elements. But what if you have 400 elements or 4,000 or even 4 million elements in your data? How will you do a check? This function will help you to do that check automatically. So we now see from this, and it tells us which values, which of the elements are not correct. We can see it here. And then when we now apply the fixed region function, here I use the R pipe to move the data. So AM to fixed region is LGA, is not corrected. True. Okay, now sometimes you can't repair them automatically. Okay, when there are too many name clashes, and so we have a function called fixed region manual. With this, you can do an interactive fix. It will walk you through, step by step to show you which ones are misspelled and give you options for fixing the spellings. There's an article on this which I can't, I won't go into it here right now. But if you run this code, this code here, this vignette, you will get the details on how to use this function. For phone numbers, we have a similar construct. We have a fixed mobile function. If you are working at all with Excel, you find that we do have issues with phone numbers when they're entered into Excel. So this function will help you to fix it. It will take in numbers or take in strings, and then you see here we have added in a leading 0 to this number. And when the numbers can't be repaired, it will just give you an NA. So in this case here, we have a short number which cannot be fixed. It's now changed into an NA, and the other numbers are now fixed up. This number has an O here. So this O, which was entered by mistake, is now changed into a 0 down here. So it's now fixed. Now the package also allows us to make some plots, some simple plots. These plots are not strictly geospatial plots, but just for us to do some visualization of data. So if we run these functions, if we run the function map underscore ng, to give us this default map like this with the space of Nigeria. If we now put in the LGS object here, you see that all the LGS are now plotted, and we can actually do some color plate maps with this. Then this is the function definition to show you how you can put different inputs. Like if you put in other states or LGS for this region arguments, it will plot them for you. If you put in a data frame here, this data arguments, you can now select with X and Y the particular columns you want to plot. And then you can also set, if you put in here just vectors, it will give you, they can serve as coordinates for plotting points. Now this is not a talk on the spatial data, so I won't just go too much into it. Now to combine the concepts together, look at this code now, map underscore ng for Bauchi. What do you think would this code would give us? Now these are the possibilities. Bauchi is the name of a state. It's also the name of an LGA within Bauchi states. So we could draw a map of Bauchi states. We draw one of all the LGAs in the same states, or the map of that Bauchi LGA in particular. So this is why we have these objects called LGAs and states. We are using what is called polymorphism to allow to create methods that give us different behaviors for different kinds of objects that are used. And that's what powers, like this map here. We have map underscore ng giving us a map of Bauchi states, just like this plane. If you add some text to it, we now have the name of the state appearing there. So we have states objects now instead of just the string being passed to it. But when we now pass the LGA objects, you see that the LGAs are now plotted. So the LGAs Bauchi will give us the LGAs of Bauchi states. And then if you now say LGAs Bauchi strictly the LGA, because we know Bauchi and LGA are both the same name, state and LGA. So this map is only for the LGA called Bauchi LGA. So we can also create color plate maps, which are maps where you have different colors for different parts of the map, depending on the kind of maybe categorical data that you're trying to plot. For lack of time, I will not go into that detail in this particular talk. But there's an article in the packet. Once you load this, once you run this code here, this code, vignette Nigeria-maps for Nigeria packet, to give you the article, you'll see all the steps on how to create those maps. Our prospects for the package. There are some new ideas which I've been nursing. The package is not really complete, it really is not. I want to provide some richer objects to do some additional stuff because, for example, I noticed that the LGAs that we are using, the source or the source of truth for the LGAs, I used the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as the source of truth for those names and for the spellings. But I also realized that there are some LGAs that the home states have some names for them. So I felt they maybe need to create some additional constructs to provide for those particular stations. Then I'm looking at also introducing lower level code to link to other ecosystems like Python and Julia. And then political words. Some friends have told me, won't we use the political words? But I don't know. Is for the community to say if we want to include words in the package, we will also do that. Because I know that most data intensive projects, they tend to go down to the word level. But there are some arguments as to how are the words not fluid, are they steady, are they constant, and all those kind of things. That is something that one can consider as we proceed. Then for more robust handling of phone numbers, I have some ideas on that using other more standard constructs, and then connecting to other packages that are focused on to special, like the SF, the simple features standard. So this function map underscore edge currently it returns a list with some of these coordinates. So we can now change those into something that can be consumed by SF functions. Collaboration is another thing that I would want to call for. Dear colleagues, you are free to visit this package repository and contribute by raising issues. Try the package, try and break it in pieces and see what doesn't work. Post the issues, post some pull requests as well. If you know that you can write our code, you can try out and make some contributions, as well as the documentation. I feel that there's some gaps there, so every help will be most welcome. So I have some resources here. This is the website for the package, the naijR website. This is my personal blog where I write on it from time to time. And then you can visit my profile on GitHub. last thing I was saying was I was inviting you guys to join in and contribute to the package in terms of raising issues on GitHub for me, and writing code, forking the repository, and writing some code as well as helping out in the documentation. So that was actually the last slide before my thing went off. So I want to take questions now if there are any.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. This is really wonderful coming from Nigeria. So thank you so much. This was a wonderful presentation. Do we have any questions before I add my comments and observation?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Victor. I think it's really an interesting one. When I first saw the naijR package, I was really excited. I was looking forward to this day that you will present it. I think it's really fantastic. I'm so happy this is coming from one of our own.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, because there was an analysis I was doing. I was thinking about grouping LGAs into rural, urban, and semi-urban areas. So I was looking for a document that I could rely on to do that. I couldn't find. So would you like to consider such in subsequent development that you may want to do, like categorizing the LGAs in Nigeria?
Okay, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. One can look at it, but there's this package on GitHub called Nigeriaby Dr. Maybe you may want to look at it. One of the guys I met him on Twitter.
Okay.
He's a very good programmer, and he wrote a package called Nigeriaby Dr. I made some few contributions there, for him. But that package, I think it's when I last saw it, or when I tried it, it kind of calls some APIs, and it loads data from different servers. But the people who work there, I've forgotten their name. There's this e-health group. I've forgotten their name, but they are well known in the health sector. They are well known in the health sector, and they are the ones who are. That guy works with them, and that's what they use. So if you look at the guy's name is his name on GitHub is, I think, God's Kid 9, something like that. God's Kid 9. And the package is called Nigeriaby Dr. Look at it and see whether you can get something like that. But I think he even has something on settlements and all that. Yeah, but for my own approach to the package that I wrote, I wanted to be a bit strict. You understand? To have something that is kind of canonical, very, very rigid, because of people people who are not Nigerians, when they come to work, all these partners and all donors and all that, they tend to make a lot of mistakes with our data. And when you look at, let's say in the area of mapping, when you look at some of those shape files that you find, they all have mistakes. They're full of mistakes, because these people, they mean well, but they don't have the right source of truth. So that's why I try to be somehow rigid in my approach to some of these things. So that's just better, but it's worth looking at and seeing. Let's see how we can do it. And in fact, if ever I go as far as doing political wars, I know I'll have to be a bit more fluid, because that one is not like cast in stone.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So you said the name of that package is Nigeriaby Dr, put together as 2 words.
Yeah, one word. Yes, that's one word. Nigeriaby Dr.
All right, thank you.
And if you can't find it, you can just hit me up, and I'll share the link with you.
All right, thanks. That's great.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any contribution, question? Okay, before we get another question or contribution, I really want to appreciate you, Doctor. So For the work you've done so far, I want to ask, is there any way there could be a collaboration between you, the package that you're creating, and grade 3? Because I know they work with a lot of data and they're working with geospatial data, and I think it will really go a long way to help with the data that we're working with, especially those who are working in the public health sector. There's a lot of issues with data, especially the namings, even what with the presentation that I did today, we have to correct names. The names that they have, they're actually working with the government, and I believe collaboration with them will really help. And I think for our community here, we really need to work together and do more, because this is a wonderful initiative. And I just hope you can look into that. Like, okay, working with the health sector, the public health sectors here in Nigeria, we need to collaborate so that we can have meaningful insights, not just data that kind of, if you look at the names, states, local governments, we're mixing things up. So that's the fact. So that's it.
Yes.
So,
That's why I said, if you look at I said about the prospects, indeed, I said the first thing I said there was this. I'm looking at what I call richer objects, and what do I mean by richer objects? Being able to let them be more intelligent, because actually we do have these issues and these complexities, and some of the lines have to be blurred. You just have to work with them like that. But if you're computing, you have to also do it in a way that it's you can work without failing too badly, with those situations. And that's why if we have lower level objects that have all kinds of capabilities, like I gave an example of an LGA being spelled one thing in the constitution, and then this, if you go to that state, the website of the state government, the name is different from the one you have in the constitution. So you cannot ignore the state government. You understand? So what do you now do? It's either you go to them at the levels and say, look, this is all correct. Okay, even if they agree to change it, how long would that take? So you have to program, against us. You have to actually create algorithms that will take care of those situations. So that's just my own take on it. But if it comes to collaboration, I'm available. I think all of us. In fact, my main hope for this particular talk is that we will be kind of challenged to collaborate more and work together and make some of these things happen.
yeah, I think it's a wake-up call to all of us, and we really need to work together now, where it's really wonderful to see something like this coming up from our Nigeria here. So that's really is a wonderful initiative. I've not really gone deep into the package. With what we have seen today, no, it's more than just the name. It's more than. So it does a great job. Well done. Thank you. So if you have any question for Doctor before we close the program, you can go ahead. Just feel free to unmute yourself. That will be able to contribute. Okay, so for those asking for his links, all the links they required, we're going to share it through the meetup. For those who registered with for the program, we're going to share all the information, how you can get in touch with Dr. Victor. So please endeavor to check your email, and then the WhatsApp group will be sharing all those information there. And we're also, just like Dr. Victor said, we're looking for collaboration. We're going to work together. No matter how small you want to contribute, especially in the area of documentation, you're welcome to join this local initiative, and it's really wonderful. So if we don't have questions, I think we'll have to round up now. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor.
Okay.
Thank you very
So,
much.
thank you so much, Dr. Victor Ordu.
Thank you,
We're really
everybody.
grateful. We really appreciate your time, and we're grateful for your patience and support to our participants. So thank you. We look forward to seeing you some other time next year. This will be our final and exciting way to end the year 2022. So it's the yearly tide time. We're planning for Christmas and the Boxing Day, all this. So thank you so much for your support all throughout the year. We wish you all the best and looking forward to seeing you again in 2023. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.